All right, welcome everyone to another live amazing video in my Facebook group, the Portrait Photographers Resource. Today, we have a very particularly good-looking guest. You may have seen him running around WPPI or any of the other conferences. He is quite a sexy beast indeed. His name is Cadena. Will, say hello to the world.
What is going on, peoples? Sean, thank you so much for having me on this. You're too kind. I'm excited. It's been a few months. We've been planning on this a little bit.
It
Months,
has.
right?
I think yeah, it has been. I reached out to you back in March actually, and I was trying to get the schedule for the rest of the year. And since this is November, almost towards the end of the year, you've been very patient, clearing your schedule for me and waiting all these months to get on. And I am seriously so stoked to have you here.
Dude, I'm honored. And by the way, the arsenal of images that was submitted. Holy shoot, man! You have a talented group. Just saying, talented beyond.
Well,
Freaking awesome.
thank you for saying that. I mean, sometimes the talent in just our industry alone and like in our circle just blows my mind. So it's really cool to do these live image critiques. And as I was mentioning to you earlier, I've been doing this for almost 3 years now, and I learned so much about just myself as a photographer from seeing other people's work. So it's really inspirational for sure.
Wait, so time out. So what inspired you to do this? Like, where did it hit you? Like, where? When was it?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. And honestly, the inspiration for me was watching the WPPI print competition judging. I've been sitting in and watching that judging for years now, and I was always just so fascinated, like seeing other people's images and learning from the critiques that the judges gave. And after seeing that, I'm like, you know what? I feel like this would be really good in a monthly live format. So that's why I started it.
That's dope, man. Good for you. I love that you're paving it forward. Because,
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. Once I started seeing that in person, I was like, holy shoot, that just changed my life in so many different ways. Yes, it's nice to go to the expo and classes, but seeing top judges, give you critique in that way, it's a game changer for not only for you personally, but also your business, which is great. So
Absolutely,
sweet.
man. Yeah, no, and I'm glad you're here. You've been a WPPI competition judge in the past. You're going to be a judge at Imaging USA this year. Many people, I feel like it's safe to say, many people know you from these conferences because you always have this amazing, bubbly, fun personality. And it's like, oh, there's Will. What's he doing now? Let's go take a shot together. Both photography and liquor wise. But
Yeah.
so I'm glad to have some of that energy from you here today. So thank you so much again.
No, I appreciate it, man. It's really an honor to be part of this. I mean, it's such a great community. And dude, ever since I met you since day one, I gotta admit, when I first saw you in a suit, I was like, damn, who's that sexy mofo? so, so, so no, but like seriously, no, serious no, but it's really, really cool that you're doing this, and I think it's your circle. It benefits not only them but also their clientele, most importantly,
Yes,
because this is how we make a living, right? If this is what you want to do for a living, make money. This is a great stepping stone to it. So
definitely.
yeah, it's cool,
Absolutely.
man.
So for those of our viewers right now in our group that have not had the distinct pleasure of meeting you, could you give everyone a little 2-minute bio, just a little portfolio profile of who you are, where you got started, what you've been doing up to this point in your career, and what you're doing now?
Yeah, so it all started when I was a little gigolo. I used to dance a little bit. No, I'm gonna, I'm kidding. So no, on a serious note, when I'm actually 41 years old now. So I
You look
started into
great,
the
man.
business when I was thanks, man. Even though my body feels differently, but I started into the business when I was about 13 and a half, 14 years old. My uncle got me into the business. He was a wedding and portrait photographer in New York City, which I'm based out of New York City. And from there, I got into weddings and portraiture during the film days, medium format, Hasselblad. And I really started shooting when I was about maybe 16, about for events and stuff like that, still during the film days. And at that time was crazy because it wasn't like how it is now. It's like, yes, you could go out and buy a camera, pick up a lens, take a picture, you see the image right then and there. Like at that time, you really had to like understand, the not the gear, but it was really understanding the basics of photography in every way possible. So light meter, exposure, making sure gear is clean, how to load film. And I really, in order for me to get to that tier, that level, I was a bag holder. And then from there, I graduated into being a double light assistant. And from there, I graduated being a second shooter. Then I graduated to be a PJ photographer, which is photojournalistic style photography, black and white. And then eventually, I think when I was about 18 years old, I was shooting film and digital at the same time, which was cool. And that was it. I mean, I was hooked onto digital because, we couldn't wait until, 2 weeks to see the images. Now you actually saw those images right then and there, which was cool. And I got into commercial fashion photography when I was about 19 through my other uncle. He's a commercial fashion photographer. He was a big time in the States. And then he moved to South America, Colombia, and he started a whole empire there. So when I needed some, breaks from wedding photography and portraits, I would go down there and do a lot of test shoots. And that was it. And I kept on going back to the States and started shooting more corporate commercial work and weddings. And I brought more of the commercial fashion look into the wedding industry. And at the time, people were like, oh, that was so retouched. But a lot of the stuff that I do during that time and also to this day is all in camera. I'm not really big into post-production. And again, it's a certain style. It's not what I do. I admire it. I just wish I had more time to do it, but I have team members that do it for me. And that's really it. And I've been in the business full time, paying taxes, almost 18 years as a professional photographer.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's incredible, man.
Yeah,
what a cool career. And before our interview, I kind of relooked at your portfolio and your website and your Instagram and everything. And you definitely you've done it all, man. I mean, you've had such a wide variety. You have such a wide range of photos that you take. Bot and bar mitzvahs, fitness competitions, weddings, corporate events. Commercial, as you said. So many really cool things in it. And do you feel like having that diversity in your portfolio is a good thing, or do you find that maybe it's better to kind of hone in one very specific niche?
So great question, because when I was growing up, I was like anyone else. When they get into the industry or just pick up a camera, they want to do so many different things, and eventually down the line, you start narrowing down what you really like and what you don't like. Personally, for myself, I'm not big into shooting kids. That's not my thing. Especially babies. I don't like when babies piss on my gear or I'm not into that. Right. Even my clients say like, "Will, we want you to photograph our kids." I'm like, "Nah, that's not really what I do, but this is who I recommend." Or I'll recommend one of my associates. So, I think honestly, especially these days, here's a perfect example. I don't like to keep bringing it up during like the pandemic or the crash of 2008, but if you're not being versatile and thinking outside the box, then you're screwed. So I think it's really important to really not dabble, but really understand whatever genre you're getting into, that you really understand how it works and perfect it. And from there, making sure you create a great client experience. So for me, it's all about building relationships. I think that's how we hit it off. We hit it off as relationship wise. I didn't know too much about you, but at the moment when I met you, I'm like, it was instant. Like it was a great feeling. So for me, it's all about the energy. So for photographers, I think it's really important for you to get to know who you're working with, your audience, and from there, build from there. Like I would never thought I'll be, get into a corporate field. I originally got into the corporate world through a wedding client of mine. And that led into so many great opportunities because they had such a great experience during the wedding industry. And one thing led to another. And next, I never thought I would be getting into, we actually photographed one of the largest bodybuilding leagues in the Northeast, which is really, really cool. So never thought that would be possible. I was never interested in it. But I do have multiple associates that go out for us to shoot weddings, corporate jobs, and also the bodybuilding shows. So again, sky's the limit, and it's all about being open-minded and, and going to workshops. Like for example, we would have never met if I would have never went to these conferences, which is a blessing. Right. So, and that's one thing I always do during the year is I try to take at least two times a year. I try to take 4 weeks off out of the year and go educate myself, whether it's domestically, whether it's business, cool. Whether it's lighting, whether it's globally. And I also require my team members at least 7 days out of the year to go to a workshop or do something. So it's a must, because if we're not growing as an individual, then what are we doing? So right. That's important. So, but yeah, I mean, that's really the gist of it. I mean, that's
that says a lot, coming from someone who's is as accomplished as you and someone that's been doing this for almost 20 years professionally, continue in education no matter how good you think you are, how many awards you've won, or how many accolades you have is so important. And I try to constantly remind myself that too, when I'm, in like September and October, when I'm just slammed with work. Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I get in that mode where like I've seen photography just as a job. Right. It can be a little, challenging sometimes for me to get back in that mindset of where I need to learn. Right. And I need to get back into just trying to grow and push myself to maybe learn something that I haven't, spent that much time investing in. So it's great to hear you say that, because I try to tell it to everyone as well. It's so important.
But it's also hard because you need to be around a circle that encourages you to do it. You can't do everything by yourself,
Exactly.
So that's important. But yeah, man. So what are we doing today? Like I heard we're critiquing some amazing work. So
we are, absolutely. So we are going to be going through a variety of images submitted from photographers in my group. We're going to, as always, we're going to be, giving some advice on, what we think could be improved, give you some positive feedback as well. But at the end of the day, you're not here for us just to praise your images, right? We're here to help you guys grow as photographers. So, we're going to try to be as polite as we can, but we're also going to be real because we want you to grow as photographers. So, at the end of these images that we're going to look at, we're also going to be giving away a canvas print from ProPrint. So make sure you guys stick around for that. Yeah, it's going to be
how big? How big?
I think it's 20 by 30. Actually, I can't remember. That's pretty big.
That's nice.
Yeah, definitely.
I like it, man. That's sweet. I like a podcast. All right, cool.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, and as always, everyone, I have the 3 monitors set up here. So if you want to comment on an image or you have any questions for myself or Will, I will be looking at the comments on the screen on my right. So please feel free to chime in. But without further ado, Will, what are you thinking, dude? You ready to rock and roll on this?
I'm ready. I'm freaking excited. I mean, what's popping up on my screen right now it's insane. But let's do it.
All right. Well, here, let me just make sure I got this monitor going properly. There we go. Okay, so we're going to look at this first image. This first image comes from Radon Burton. Will, I'm going to let you kick things off since you are a special guest today. Tell us, what do you think? Let's start with what you like about the image and then what you think could be improved.
Well, definitely, it's a beautiful, stunning image. I mean, definitely, that sunset. You had to really be at that very moment. By the way, is this a RAW file or JPEG file? Oh, this is a JPEG file. Oh, it's freaking nice. Okay. Yeah, I love the color tones. I love how it's just, you're like in the middle of nowhere. I love that blue tone that your eye goes straight to her. Very fashionable. I love that. I love the mountains. I feel it looks like in Vegas, right? It might be like in Vegas.
It kind of looks like the salt flats or something. Yeah.
Yeah. But it definitely has a lot of impact. As for critiquing wise, what can we do better? I feel like my eye is going more towards her arm. Mm-hmm. So her right arm. I think that's where my attention is going to the most. And besides the highlights on the floor. But again, we don't know what the scenario was. I don't know if it was windy out. I don't know if he had an assistant or Radon is I'm sorry, it's a female, male. Forgive me.
Radon is a female. Yes.
Female. My apologies. I'm special, by the way. I really am. All right. So I have an IEP, reading and writing disability, so forgive me. But yeah, no, it's a stunning image. I think that's the only thing that's really taken a little bit away from me. I would love to see more light on her face. And what do you have to say? Tell me a little bit more. What do you think?
Definitely. I think there's a couple things that could be improved here, but I'm going to mirror what you said. I'm absolutely loving the tones and the colors of this image, right? You have that really nice balance between the cool tones in the foreground with the pinker, warmer tones in that sunset, and they do complement each other very well. I think for me, there's a couple things that I'm struggling with, and I think the majority of those things that could be fixed are just how the variance in the highlights, right? So you have a very strong highlight on her right arm and then virtually no light on her legs. And even the face is a little bit falling off with the light. Just the exposure the exposure is a little inconsistent, right? So one thing you could do, Radon, in the future is maybe back off that softbox a little bit or use a wider softbox so you get slightly more even coverage of light. One thing you could do in post-production is just, use your adjustment brush tool to paint down some of those highlights on in those brighter areas and maybe increase the exposure a little bit on some of those darker areas. While you're there, I would also recommend doing a little bit of skin touch-ups as well, cleaning up some of the specularity on her face, like particularly on the edge of her nose. She's got a little bit above her left eyebrow as well. So those, some of those things, for example, normally in a pose like this or a photo like this, I would say, kind of follow the rule. If it bends it. Her arms and her body is very stiff, but it almost kind of works in this photo that she is so stiff. And I'm finding myself kind of liking it because it just adds a little bit of like, to the question or to the image. I think the pose does match her expression. So in this particular case, it does work, but I would be curious to see if there's something else you could do with her pose where maybe she's a little bit more dynamic with it and she's, bending some of those arms, those elbows, putting more weight on one leg than the other. So she's got a little bit more shape to her body.
Yeah, I think another thing I want to add into it, especially when it comes to print competitions, be very mindful of the halos. It looks like because I wanted to download the images to really see the quality behind it because I was looking at it, was it Google? But be very mindful of halos because there's a halo go around the head. I'm not sure if you see that, Sean, but that they definitely will critique more of that and your score will start going down on it. So be mindful of that, and also like the shadows. It looks like you were using like hard light for that.
It does look like hard light, yeah.
Yeah, but overall, it's a great shot. Definitely, I agree with what Sean said. But yeah, nicely executed, fun shot. You should definitely be proud of the shot. So very, very cool, very cool.
Yeah, seriously, Radon, this is a very, very nice photo. So good job there. We're gonna go ahead and move on to our next image. This next photo comes from Scott Tibbles. Scott said that he moved to the other side of the pond to get a reflection, boomed with a 300-watt strobe and a 24-inch softbox over the top. It's one of his daughter's senior pictures. Oh, so this is his daughter. Okay. And I did change the title of the original image. However, the original image was titled "Sean Has Lovely Hair." So thank you, Scott.
You do have great hair, by the way. You got to zoom macro lens. You got to be in there.
Exactly. But yeah, I shaved today. So there's a little stubbies though, but so
this is your daughter, huh, Scott? No, it's obviously photographing family is never easy. Let's put it that way. I these days I refuse to really photograph certain family members of mine. But this is really cool. I love the expressions. She looks like she's having a good time. You must have said something to bring out that smile on her. And there has to be a reason why she's in this little boat. There has to be a reason why. I'd like to get to know why, hopefully down the line.
She's pretending she's T-Pain, I'm on a boat. I'm on a boat.
The boat's cute. But yeah, the reflection is great. I'm feeling the tones a little bit. Just critiquing wise, I wish I could share my screen on my end, but it's like the little bit of the highlight where the reflection is kind of taken away from where I want the attention to go. There's little mini highlights, yeah, and also on the top left. At that point, might as well just get rid of that. I'm not sure if you're into retouching in Photoshop. Just take that out completely. And if you want to get a little bit more crazier, fill in some of the green around. I guess that's like a wood or bridge area. Just fill that in completely. You could actually we could just crop it in. I'm actually bringing it into Lightroom. If you bring it in a little bit more, yeah, that looks actually. Can we share? Let me see. Can I share mine or not?
I can't.
All right, that's fine. So let me see. All right, but let me see if I can take a picture. Let me see if this one even works. Maybe it's going like this. Let's see.
I can crop in a little bit on my end, just to kind of give people an idea, because I would agree with you, Will. I do feel like this image would benefit a lot from just us cropping and getting rid of some of that negative space on the top. Yeah, that looks here. Let me make your screen a little bit bigger here, Will. Yeah, there you go. That's perfect. Oh, okay. I was saying it even looks cool mirrored too, because it's you're holding it to the camera. But if you can all see his phone, everyone.
Yeah, so the reflection is great. Like you already know, cropping off her face from the reflection it's fine. You already know it's her, but it's cool having the little detail, having the leading lines from where what the name of the boat is leaning towards her. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's greatly executed, man. Definitely, there's just minor stuff here and there, and I think also positioning our hands. I feel like she's holding on to the boat like to dear life. You know, who knows? Who knows? It might have been like, I don't know. It might have been broken the bottom of it because I've been on boats that not doesn't feel the safest. But maybe her right hand let it rest on her thigh, something like that. Just very elegant, like really comfortable. Make it feel like more natural. What I usually tell people is like, I want you to make believe you're about to sit there for the next 10 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Get into the most comfortable position. And from there, take it from there. And from there, you can start shooting. I think the last question is like the lighting wise. You definitely incorporated a light into it, unless there was a reflector or something. Sean, what do you think? I mean, what are you thinking?
Yeah, so I actually just pulled up the behind the scenes photo. Scott did provide one for us, just to kind of give you an idea of how he lit it. But yeah, personally, I really like this photo. Just the setting, the placement. I love the idea that he got low to get that reflection. That was really well done. If I honestly was thinking the exact same thing, I think it's a little too wide. I would crop that in a little bit tighter. While the bridge in the top left is cool, I don't think it adds enough to the image to leave it in there and have your eye get drawn to those highlights, because as you know, your eye will get drawn to the brightest part of the image. But I would also, and this is more just a personal preference, but I would also warm up the image just very slightly. The tones are a little cool, and I think warming it up would really help, just add that kind of more sunset, that sunset, just golden hour type of vibe to the photo.
Yeah, I agree with that. Think about when you think of rain. What do you think about rain? It feels darker, bluer. But when you think about something romantic or something happy, what do you think about? The warmth, the feel of it.
Exactly.
So warming that up would play such a big part. So Scott, beautiful executed. Just warm that up a little bit. Get rid of some of the little details here and there. And I think you would do very well if you want to go submit this into a pre-competition. So good for you, man. Yeah. Awesome. Nicely done, man.
Yeah. And one thing I also want to throw out, Scott, is I get on him for this all the time. Sometimes he has like really, he'll have some really blown out like highlights on the skin tones. And he, it seems like that's a common theme for him. And it seems like he's really, really did a good job mitigating that and managing those on this time around. So good job, Scott. You didn't mess it up.
You had one job, not to mess it up. You did it. Yeah, Scott. Make sure what I recommend is also print it out. Print it with your logo lab or something. See the difference. Print something like this out, then print another one out with warmer tones, and you see what you like more, and you'll see the difference on it. So no, good for you, man.
Absolutely,
you're rocking
Absolutely.
It. Good for you. Yeah.
Right on. We're going to go ahead and move on to image number 3. This next photo comes from David Scott Bowles, and this was shot inside of a museum during an engagement session. And that is, I just want to start by saying, Scott, there's so much to really love about this photo. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but you have a high amount of grain here, which kind of replicates that film look. And I think, when we think of museums, we think of more classic style of portraiture, that's revolved around film. So if you were trying to replicate a film style look here, I think you definitely did a good job.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And one thing that's really challenging too that you were able to pull off here was photographing, someone with dark hair against a dark background, because it's so easy for them to get lost behind a background like this. Yeah. And the fact that you were able to pull it off just is really cool to see. If I had to offer any just maybe minor critiques, I would just clean up a couple small things on this photo. So like she has a couple flyaways on the top of her head that it could be cleaned up a little bit. She's got a piece of fabric coming off of her right hip that, to me, I don't know why, but for me it's a little distracting. Just minor stuff like that what I would definitely just change. I think I'd also would like to prefer to see one of her hands, because she's like hiding her hands hands, in front of her body, and it just looks like her arm. Like if you kind of squint a little bit, it looks like her arms are getting cut off, and that's not the most flattering. But it's really intriguing, and I'm curious to see, Will, what you have to say about this.
No, definitely. I mean, at a museum, yeah, obviously for me, I love the shot. I mean, yeah, we never know if this is like the same day wedding. You never know what are the scenario, what are the limitations, how fast do we have to get the shot. So you just never know. So for this, exactly what Sean said, I agree in a lot of the parts. It just the back is I feel like I see too much of the back. I feel like just turn a body a little bit more. Who says this? Who's like a lazy Susan? Like Jerry always says it, lazy Susan. Slightly turn the body, like exactly how I'm turning my chair right now. Just slightly turn the body a little bit more. Drop that left shoulder, or let her play with her earring or something. A little bit more movement. But I feel like I see too much of her back. I want to see more of that neckline. And another thing as well, she feels like she's like leaning away from the camera. If you ask her, hey, lean towards the camera, one, it makes her head a little bit bigger, but also it elongates her neck. So we want to showcase more of that. But overall, again, this is the same day wedding, right? Is that correct? Or
this is an engagement session. It was an 8-hour engagement session. The couple came from Hong Kong. That's kind of cool.
Oh, God. Oh, man. I really hope you sold some wall art pieces, because this is a beautiful wall art piece.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, definitely. Again, who knows what the scenario was, but I see your settings over here. Shutter speed 200 at 2.8, ISO 1600. And 24:7 there. Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's a beautiful shot. Exactly what Sean said. I totally agree. But yeah, definitely a film look. It reminds me back when we used to shoot film. I mean, 35 millimeter. So it's beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah. I say even crop it as a square format and have a little bit of the white edges, so it's like a frame within a frame. You could probably do that, but
that would be really cool for sure, especially if you were going to print this out.
Yeah, play with different crops. Just have fun with it. I mean, that actually looks really cool. I'm playing with it in the Lightroom. That looks. Let me see if I can show this to you guys. It looks like a matte finish. I mean, it looks pretty cool. Nicely done, David. Freaking badass. All right.
Yeah,
can I say
absolutely.
badass? All right, yeah.
Let's see what you got. Show it to the camera.
Let's see. Even something like that. You can see something.
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
That's dope.
Yeah,
that would be really cool.
So it's like a matte within a. It's just so beautiful. Yeah. So
I could see that being entered in a competition for sure.
Absolutely, man. Good stuff, definitely. David. Keep rocking it, man. Cool.
Good stuff, dude. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on. This next photo comes from Adrienne Como, and let's see what she has to say about this. This was, she had one light, camera right, with a 200-watt strobe and a 24-inch softbox, feathered. One light outside of the doors with a 400-watt strobe in the Magmont XL reflector and Magmont CTO gel. I have never worked with a smoke machine before. Now it's on my Black Friday list of things to order.
That's freaking awesome. Good for you. It's a beautiful shot. I love that you were being creative with the location, the lighting, the perspective. I love it. So you put the light right behind that column, which is cool. So did you use a colored gel? Is she on?
I'm not sure, but she did say she used a CTO, which is where I'm assuming the warmth is coming from. That warmth and that light behind them.
Yeah, and it's definitely a gorgeous image. I love the feeling of the warm tone. There's a reason why. Let's see why is it zoomed out? Okay, yeah. So I wanted to zoom in a little bit. I think a little bit more of the retouching. We're losing a little bit more of it. I feel like we're losing the expression. I felt like I want to see more of that. As for like little miscellaneous stuff at the bottom of the jacket, it's taking my attention away there. Her hand placement, as we know, hand placement is a very, very important thing. Either you keep them or you don't. But I feel like I want to see more of the gentle hands, maybe one hand under the other, or because it looks like her thumb. That is a thumb. Yeah, that's a thumb. I see the color tone is. I don't know, Sean, help me out with this a little bit. I feel like the hands. Yeah.
I think I'll be honest with you. I don't think what she this is like I'm being very picky here, but I don't think what she's wearing matches the vibe of the image, right? So she's got this like super fun sequin shiny jacket on, like she's about ready to go like rage in like in a club in Vegas, and then she's got this very like serious expression with this ultra dramatic lighting, right? So I think some of the elements of the image aren't coming together as well as they could, but it's, you know, it ultimately from like a dramatic standpoint and lighting, I think it's excellent. I mean, yeah, the highlights are very strong in the background and they are a little distracting, so I would try to balance those, you know, the highlights in the background versus the light on her face a little bit better. Hand placement, yeah, that's a tough one because she's almost tucking like her fingers on her right hand in a little bit, so you're losing a little bit of that, you know, of those fingertips. But overall, I don't necessarily think it bothers me too much, her hand placement. I personally, but like I said, hands are one of those things that do convey a lot of emotion and they are very important, but I can't personally think of anything that would look better. Maybe, you know, if she was doing more of a power stance when she was like leaning forward towards the camera and putting her weight on one of those hands, to kind of lean more into that, you know, into that setting. But yeah, I honestly, I have not too much more to say other than just, I don't know if the jacket fits the intent of the image.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I mean, definitely beautiful, perfectly shot, gorgeous. I love the fog, but I like the ranging part. Yeah, she looks like she's ready to go out and party hardcore. But again, you never know. Maybe she was. I don't know. Maybe she's like, you know what? It's gonna be one of those crazy nights. Tonight, I'm gonna take the night. You never know. I don't know. I have those nights, so
It's gonna be a Will night.
Yeah, no, beautiful shot. I love how you took advantage of the location. Yeah, just and also keep in mind with skin tones. Skin tones, you know, depending on the modifier, how close, how far it is, will play a very big part. Now the question was the modifier gridded or not. I don't know. So because I'm trying to say like low res. Yeah, no, I mean, again, I think that's I agree with Sean with the styling a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
good.
hard to critique an image that honestly is just, you know, it's solid. It's a really good photo. You know, one thing you need to ask yourself when you're, you know, when you have these images for, you know, for competitions or something is, you know, you got to ask yourself about the impact, right? Is this have the impact to really, you know, elevate it to that level where people just look at it and say, wow. And if it doesn't, you need to, you know, have that discussion with yourself. Okay, what can I do to take that farther? You know, and for those of you who submitted to the Icon Awards, they just got announced about an hour ago. So the results just came in. So if you haven't seen those results, definitely go check them out. But it's yeah, no, it's Adrian. I thank you so much for submitting this because this is a really cool photo, and I love the fact that you use the CTO, that full CTO, just to add that warmth to the smoke because it really does do a lot for your photo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
cool.
Gorgeous.
Anything else to add, Will?
No, just play with the crops as well. I mean, you can play with it. I mean, there's so many things you could do. I think you already know. I like to play with crops. You know, let's. You might
Definitely.
disagree, might not agree. Who knows? But let's
Let's
play.
see.
Yeah,
Let's see what
see
you
where
got, buddy.
something like that. I don't know. Actually, I need to crop a little bit more, but it's fine. But even something like this, like
Oh
something just
yeah.
crop, yeah. So I mean, I say crop off a little bit of the arm right there, and I think
Mm.
you know it creates a whole different feel to it. So sometimes we do this, like for example, let's say we were doing a wedding and we're limited on time. So like, oh, we got to create something from nothing. Sometimes we do that. We go into crop or wall art pieces, same idea. So playing with that crop will help sometimes. But I
Mm-hmm.
think also a different pose would have been great as well. So something a little bit more dramatic, maybe her looking away, or
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
or yeah, you look
know,
or into the light even. Yeah.
into the light. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
This is kind of like she's looking at me like she's about to go raging, or she's like, oh, there's something's going on with her in her life. And when I'm really looking at
Yes.
her face, something's going on,
Yes.
which is cool. It was very cool. But yeah, nicely done, girl. Very
Hundred
cool.
percent.
Very
100%.
cool.
Thank you so much, Adrian. Really appreciate you submitting. Okay, we're gonna move on. This next photo, wedding photo, it looks like this comes from Lindsay Hartman, no additional information attached to this. So, uh,
Lindsay. Nice. So,
okay, yeah, yeah. Why don't you start here? I do see a couple things, but why don't you start?
well, I know you built your career on was it location, right? Environmental, right? You love the
Environmental
location.
portraits, yeah.
Yeah. So let me go first because I know you're gonna go off. 'Cause
Please, yeah,
I'm not-
please do.
yeah, no, it's a beautiful shot. I feel a little bit of the romance. I love how she's grabbing onto his back of his head. I feel like there's love right there. When it comes down to it, it's the flowers are nice. Okay, cool. But I'm sure you got a lot of shots with the flowers. I'm like, grab onto him, grab him by the face.
Yeah,
I want to feel like more of that intimate, relationship with the couples. That's one thing I don't shoot weddings as I used to anymore. But when I do them once in a while, it's like I want to feel more of that intimacy. So I feel like that's what I'm missing. Really more as composition wise. I feel like you really don't need. I know you wanted to capture the location, but I really don't
hmm
think you need that building in the back. I feel like you could just crop it out completely because the goal is to really capture who they are. You have the leading lines. Let me see if I could do something over here. Chime in when you
yeah.
get a chance. I want to showcase
No,
more.
I actually feel the same exact way because the building is really cool, right? You have this really awesome location. I have no idea where this is. Wherever it is, I want to take photos there. But the thing I'm struggling with is the angle, right? Like it's in this weird spot where it could be higher, but it could also be lower, right? It's in that middle ground where it's almost like I can't decide what I want to showcase. So if I were doing this, and again, this is just me. This isn't necessarily the right way to do this. I would do one of two things. So one, I would back up and get really, really high, right? So you're almost shooting like a little bit more down on them. Or I would get lower and you have them prominent in the foreground and then using these rows of vineyards almost as like leading lines or escape lines. So where your eye starts on the subject and then follows the path behind them, because you have a lot of elements here competing with each other. You have the vineyards, you have the building. So I would honestly just pick one or the other. Essentially, is what I'm trying to say. What I would try to highlight. I definitely do not disagree with you on the bouquet. I'm not big on bouquets in wedding portraits. I like them for some of the more traditional stuff, or for photos of the bride by herself, because your hands always want to be doing something, right? And when you're with your partner, your hands can help establish that connection. And when one of her hands is not connecting with her partner, she does feel a little disconnected from him, right? Which is why when when they're individual photos, she can connect with those flowers. But I would just say, yeah, put the flowers down. Let's have that right hand like grab onto his, on his lapel, or grab onto his hand, or whatever the case is. But those are kind of the main issues I see with the photo. Also, aside from the fact that the horizon is slightly not level either, which is also throwing off the balance a little bit. But
Yeah, so check it out. Like, even if you take the image and you crop it in a little bit, like, and also flip the image because it will help you a little bit with the lean lines. And we read from the left to
yeah,
the right. That will
hmm
help. But also the compressing lens, because I saw the metadata. You're shooting at like 40 millimeter or something like that. So compressing the image will help as well. It will help bring your eyes to exactly where you want the viewer to look at. But again, we don't
exactly.
know the scenario. We don't know what happened. We don't know how much time you have when it comes to a wedding day. I get it. Sometimes, we have all the time in the world, but you're waiting for the client for 3 hours to get their freaking dress on, and then you're rushing to get the shot. So, but again, beautiful,
Yes.
beautiful shot. I'm sure they're gonna love it. Again, we're looking at it in our, as a photographer, we're looking at it as a judge, or so. But yeah, great job. I mean, again,
Yeah.
tone on the highlights and bring the attention more to them. That's really it. So
For
Gorgeous.
sure. And Lindsay, I just want to throw in one more thing that I'm noticing as I'm looking at this photo, because this is a styled shoot. You know, you have generally in a styled shoot, you have a little bit more creative freedom with your editing, because, you know, obviously the goal of the styled shoot is to get photos for your portfolio or the venue's portfolio, or whatever the case may be. And I'm noticing, and I'm gonna zoom in on the image right here. If you look like underneath her, kind of where her armpit is, you know, you have some folds there. They're a little unflattering. So I would just kind of clean up those wrinkles a little bit, just to flatter the model a little bit more.
What are you talking about? That's like the new thing in, man. You gotta leave that in. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Whatever you say, buddy. Yeah, all right. You
Yeah,
keep doing that.
don't listen to me, guys. No, but yeah, 100% right. I mean, it's hard when it comes to those dresses because they're so low, and how he's grabbing her. All the body weight is on that left hand. So yes, you're gonna get stuff like that. So unfortunately, there's only so much that you could do. So, but yeah, so it's a style shoe, and also like the toes. Yeah, she looks like she's barefooted too. So either extend that dress, make it longer, or just take that foot out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, yeah.
Also, bring up the exposure on them too, because you have so many highlights in the image, as you mentioned, and then they get kind of lost in all those highlights. So bring up the exposure on just them.
Yeah.
Just
definitely
create that more separation. So cool. Thanks, Lindsay. You're awesome. Great photo, and I want to go here. I've never thought that there'd be places like this in Georgia, but I guess it makes sense.
Oh wow, that's
the
cool.
South.
The South.
Yeah, they have an interesting history. Okay, moving on.
Got an interesting history. You're funny.
Anyway,
yeah.
We're going to go ahead and talk about this photo. This photo is from, an anonymous photographer. I almost said their name out loud, so I'm glad I didn't. Anonymous photographer. This is their first time using their MagMod softbox out in the wild for a unique senior session. I may have put myself into a pretzel to get this shot, but I had so much fun. This is the first time submitting for any type of professional critique as well. I have never had enough confidence to submit anything I've captured. Well, anonymous photographer, thank you so much for submitting something. I know it's a little challenging and a little intimidating to put your work out there for everyone. And even if you are anonymous, it is, kind of, it's kind of gut wrenching a little bit, but that's how we become better photographers. We got to put our work out there to get better. One day, I remember very early on in my career, I went over to this photographer's house. He invited me over to his house, and I wanted him to critique my engagement session I shot. It was actually one of the first engagement sessions I ever shot, and I was really, really proud of it. I was very happy about it, and he just proceeded to rip my photos apart. Like he was very professional and polite about it, but he was ripping them apart. But I'm so glad that he did, because it helped me grow as a photographer and really helped put things into perspective for me. So hopefully we can do the same thing for you and rip your photo apart. I'm just kidding. But
hey, do you offer like a referral fee for like a therapist here or no? Do you do that or not?
Yeah, right? Use promo code Lara10 for 10% off your therapist.
No, seriously, I agree with Sean. Good for you for submitting. I mean, that, like, still to this day, when I submit images, I get nervous. I'm freaking out. And the crazy part about it is, like, I submit and I already know who are the judges. Like, those judges are like colleagues and friends of mine in the industry. So it's kind of like, you always want to, put the best work out there as possible. But again, this is how you get better. I mean, I get it. Sean, I had the same scenario when I was growing up, and I had people just rip me apart. I mean, like, destroy me. And in a way, it's a good thing, to get the honest truth. And I like that Sean, that you do this. Like, you're very I think I showed one of you're speaking of it with Jerry. Yeah, you guys were going off, and I respected that. Like, you have to be hardcore. You can't. I know we're in a society these days. Sometimes you got to be like politically, God forbid you hurt someone's feelings, but no, I mean, if you want to make it in the real world, you got to toughen up a little bit more. But I'm glad you submitted. Like this shot, if this is your first time submitting and your first time using, a system in this way, good for you. Like, good freaking for you. It's badass. So as for this image, is great. I love the color tones, the highlights. It shows her style and who she is. I kind of like also the pairing, her hair with the color tones in the back. Not sure if any of this was retouched or enhanced in any way, but I like it. It shows it's her. So as for improving wise, maybe the posture, the posing, she's a little straight on. Maybe I want to see a little bit more of her boots. Like, what kind of boots are they? Are they Doc Martens? Was this shot in Europe? Was this shot in that all plays a very big part into the styling as well. And also her eyes. One thing I see a lot in print competitions, depending on what level, is the white in the eyes. So you ever seen the show like The Walking Dead or those movies when all you see is white? You have to give more direction where you want the subject to look. So if I said, hey, let's say her name is Samantha. Samantha, I want you to turn your eye. I want you to bring your eye a little bit towards where the exit sign is. By you giving her direction where to look, she'll point the eye exactly where you want it to look. So you have less white on the eye. So watch. Let me bring it closer. From here to here, see the difference with the people? I don't know if you're watching, but that plays a very big part into the print competition. So be mindful of the stuff like that. I also feel like there's a lot of attention going towards her chest with the lighting. So maybe darken that up a little bit more. But Sean, chime in, go crazy.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, that was gonna be my first comment was the whites of the eyes. To having them look in a very specific place is instead of saying, "Hey, look to the right," saying, "Hey, look, look at that sign, look at that bush, or look at that tree, whatever." That's gonna give your client more direction, and it's gonna allow you to place the eyes exactly where you want. I do really appreciate the fact that you matched, a lot of the color palettes in this image. You have the pink and the blue on her hair matching with the pink and blue on the mural behind her. That was a really cool call. My biggest critique here is the posing, right? So you're hiding her hands. Let's see those hands, right? Have her bring a knee up maybe so we can see that hand more. So the bottom of her shoes aren't as prominent in the image. It's just a very stiff pose, and there's a couple things you can do to really get some more motion, but not necessarily motion, but more more positive body language, right? And allowing someone to utilize their shapes a little bit better. So one thing you could even do is have her put her weight like on one side, so she's not so straight under the camera, but she's got these nice curves in her hips. She's bringing maybe she's bringing one leg up, so you're creating those natural bends. Really just have her flow through some of these poses a little bit more, so it's not just so stiff as she is here. That would be my main critique, honestly, because there's a lot that to like. The lighting, the angle's pretty neat. The subject, she seems like a really cool, interesting, girl that likes maybe death metal music. I could see myself going to a concert, listening to some music with her. So just really help, really do some things to help flatter her and her body a little bit more.
Yeah. Even like cropping wise, going back to cropping wise as well. Check it out. So real quick. So let's say if you had to this is your only shot that you took. Take advantage of I'm using Lightroom, the rule of thirds. A lot of my work, if you see, I love to use the rule of thirds. If you look at a lot of the images I shoot, I'm shooting anywhere between. My numbers outside are like f-stops wise is anywhere between f11 to all the way to f22. That's my style of shooting. And the question is like, shit, why? I mean, again, that's my style of shooting. But composition plays a very big part in how I shoot. So see the difference between that? So it just brings your eye a little bit more. Just play with composition, play with the angles while you're shooting. Don't do it in post-production. Do it while you're shooting. And get your bread and butter shot like you got over here. And then from there, zoom it in a little bit. Do a horizontal shot. Just play with the angles. I mean, beautiful person, beautiful subject, location's cool.
Are you talking about me? Or are you talking?
Dude, you're a sexy mofo, baby. I don't want to get anyone jealous over there, but you and I got to spend some quality time together in Vegas. Just saying.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do, my friend.
Yes, we do, baby. So, but yeah, congratulations on submitting for the first time. Yes. Definitely. It's awesome. Good for you. So,
yeah, absolutely. I know sometimes it's hard to get out of that shell. So really, really good job, anonymous photographer. We're going to go ahead and move on. This next photo comes from Hector Vasquez.
Hector.
and Vasquez and Hector shot this with a 35 millimeter Sigma Art with a 200-watt strobe and a mag box, and the best assistant ever, Devin McCabe. So good job, the
Okay.
awesome team right here from the East Coast. Let's see. Yeah. This is a. I like the crop on this. I love these like longer, wider crops. So kudos to you guys for that.
Very cool. Hector sounds familiar. Why does Hector sound familiar? Why is that a familiar name?
He's a yeah. He's running three Honda Civics with spoon engines and a Motec system exhaust. That's how you know.
That's how you know. I love it. No, Hector, definitely beautiful photograph. I agree with Sean. I love the more the aspect ratio, the horizontal, more like a panel, which is gorgeous. So, and I love the color tones. I love how you incorporated the mural. Looks like definitely a church, which is cool. I'm just get your bread and butter shot, which is great. I think it's really more the color tone, the skin tones on the subjects. Also the posture, the posing. Again, I want to feel more intimacy. All right, when you pull away,
Right.
it feels like they're not really connected. Again, I'm not sure if you have a partner or a spouse or whatever. Think about when that partner touches you. Not in that way. Relax. All right. I'm talking about like affectionate wise. Talking about
Jeez.
leaning towards each other, like how they grab onto you, how they touch the face. Think about stuff like that, and that's what I do a lot when I'm photographing people. Like, how would I want to be? How would I want someone to show emotion towards me? Or how would I want to show emotion towards someone else? So bringing that connection and tip the head towards each other. Also, you're showing a little bit too much of the neckline for her. I feel like you're losing her face a little bit more. Tip the
Have
top
her
of your
tilt her
head.
head. Yep.
Yeah. So tip at the top of your. So her head is like this right now. Tip your head. Turn the body a little bit more towards like lazy Susan, like Jerry says, and also be mindful of the arms. So if my arm, which I haven't been working out in a while,
Ooh,
see how my arm is
muscles.
over here? It looks bigger, but if I want to make it thinner and smaller, how can I do that? Pull it away from the body. So now I don't have to retouch it. So bring your hips away and open up the arm. Look at the difference between that and putting my arm against my body. So again, like I said, I don't like to do a lot of post production in that way. And also, like I'm sure you got your bread and butter shots. You're bringing the composition a little bit more, and also the lighting. What does Jerry always says? Jerry, I like bringing up Jerry because he simplifies the shit out of things dramatically. Sacrifice the king for the queen, and like flattering a light on her face will help more. So bringing the light a little bit closer to her, and I think just bringing it in more.
Yep.
Sean, chime in. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so the biggest critique I had on the image is again the connection, right? So one rule that I have, this is a personal rule, and of course rules are made to be broken, but I would say 9 out of 10 times when you have a couple that, is married or engaged or just, whatever, that's intimate with each other. 9 out of 10 times both hands need to be on each other. Okay, so you see that we're gonna assume that he's the groom. We assume that the groom here, he has his right hand in his pocket, right? When he has his hand in his pocket like that, it's disconnecting him from the bride. So if you were to take away, let's say you were to take away her hand, right? You were to take away her hand being on him, and he was just standing there with him, or excuse me, if he was just standing there with her, he's not connected with her in any way, right? So you need to establish that connection. Have him take that hand out of his pocket, have her pull her in by holding her waist or her lower back, something that establishes that connection, right? Have them bring their heads in closer to lean in, almost like they're about to kiss, right? Because here, it literally looks like all that they're doing. You said as a photographer was, hey, just stand in front of each other and look at each other, right? And then also with her hand too, it feels very forced. How often, will you go to your partner and just like slap your hand on their chest and be like, I love you? No, like when you're trying to establish the intimacy, you're grabbing him gently. Hey, let me grab your cheek. Let me grab your, your shirt, like to bring you in. Let me just hold your waist because I'm cold. So the pose just feels a little stiff. It's a beautiful image with your lighting, with the tones, with the texture on the wall, incorporating that stained glass. But you have to add that extra element to it to really tie the whole image together and make it, something that's going to be worthy of an award. To echo what you said about the arm, one other thing too that you need to be very careful about is when you're using off-camera flash, it allows us to get more creative, but it also accentuates maybe, shadows in places that could potentially be unflattering, right? So you're creating this shadow under this bride's arm that is a little unflattering, right? It's almost like it's adding more like size to her and bringing more attention to that area. So easy enough to fix in post-production. Just go ahead and clean up that skin a little bit. But as far as your softbox is concerned, for the future, I would bring. Actually, you did include a behind-the-scenes photo, and I do want to check that out. But I'm assuming that maybe you had the softbox a little too high. So let's go ahead and look at
Where do we see
video.
that? Where do you see that?
Yeah, I didn't attach it to our thing, but I'm gonna play it on Facebook. If you want to watch the live version, if you want to tune in live, but if not, I can show you. But here, I'm gonna play it real quick. Yeah, so that's exactly what's happening here. Is Devin is holding the light just slightly too high. So Devin, what I'd recommend in that situation is just bring the light a little bit more to the right, and then just bring it a little bit more on axis towards the camera, so you get a little bit more even coverage of light, just slightly though, and it's tough sometimes, for sure. But
so yeah, Hector, like going back to what Sean said about post production. If you really don't want to do it in post production, again, take the time, slow down when you're shooting, get the shot that you need, and from there, I'm like, all right, how can we tweak the shot? So it's okay to just take a moment and say, all right, guys, give me about 10 seconds. Look at the image from the top left to the right to the bottom look around the whole shot and start analyzing the photograph. Again, who knows what was the scenario there, but that's what I'd like to do. Throw the flowers on the floor, give it to the bride or attendant, whoever is in charge of it. If you want to make sure you don't see that shadow on her arm, tell them grab onto her arm, play with her arm a little bit, and now you cover up where the imperfections are. So you don't have to do any post-production. Again, I'm very big into that. I like to fix what I can on site, so we have a fast turnaround time on everything. So
exactly.
Yeah. No, but great shot. Yeah.
Yeah, Hector says, or Devin says that you guys met in Chicago at dinner.
Ah, that's why that name sounds so freaking familiar. What's up, bro?
Yes.
Big hugs from New York.
Absolutely. Well, and also, yeah.
Play with the crop as well. Get that crop in. Get that one angle shot, and zoom it in, and boom. That's another angle as well. And flip the image.
Cool.
I flip the image as well. So, yeah, play with that. But try to do that as much as you can in camera. But good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, with my clients, I call that the, just to get some laughs out of them, I say, okay, I just need to change the angle, or as I call it, the angle of the dangle.
Angle of the Is it your dangle or their dangle?
It's just a dangle.
It's just a dangle? Okay.
Just a dangle.
I gotta use that in my next job. Yeah.
It always gets a laugh out of them, and that's what's important, right? We're trying to establish that connection with our clients as well. So
you're such a charmer. I love it.
It's my beautiful hair. All right. Well, hey, Devin, Hector, thank you so much for submitting this photo, and I hope to see you on the streets with your Honda Civics and Spoon Engine soon. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on. This next photo comes from an anonymous photographer again. The title, and this one they included a title with. Or title on this image, and this is called "Caught in the Wedding Sandwich."
There's a lot going on in the shot. I love her expression. It's like, what the hell is going on over here? Like, you captured the moment perfectly. Like that, you cannot make that up. There's nothing you could do over here to posing wise. It's a candid moment. So, as for I don't know. As for highlights and stuff like that, yes, we can bring it down more. We got to be careful with that. I'm not sure if it was shot black and white or was it converted later on. So just be careful with the blacks. You might be crushing them a little bit, but we can't be so anal about that either. But
Yeah.
overall, I got nothing really to say. It's a candid moment, So it's yeah, cropping wise, it looks like definitely was cropped later on. But I'm trying to
Yeah.
see what do you have to
So,
say?
well, so let me ask you, Will, if this were like, let's say this were to be printed, right, for competition, whether it's Imaging USA or Icon, what would you recommend that the maker does to just kind of elevate this to the next level? We're getting really technical here, right? Like, what would you want to see to bring this from, like, let's say like an 80 score to like an 85? Besides, obviously, changing the moment, because you can't change the moment; it's already
You
happened.
can't
It's already
change
been
the moment.
captured.
I think this is where definitely I think composition wise. Again, this will have to be done in post production. Let me just show you real quick.
Yeah, definitely.
You really have to be very mindful of the highlights and the shadows because when it goes into printing, that's it. That's where you get crushed. So I say cropping it in this way might help. Turn it, turn. Let's see if you can see it. Maybe crop it a little bit more. You don't need to see his buttocks area as you saw before.
Mm-hmm.
Even bring it in a little bit more. I think, again, it's a great image. It definitely captured the moment. And if we have to really like score it, I think it'll be about maybe like a 70, 73 if it was WPPI standards wise. So
Okay.
we'll be around there. So, but yeah, you just missing the mark a little bit. But again, it'll be a candid moment, same day wedding.
Do you
So
think that? So going back to your crop, though, do you think that cropping off the hand would have any impact, like you
yes, it
did?
will. It will have an impact. Either take it out completely. I'm trying to. There's not enough room to play with the crop. Or
No worries.
yeah. So yeah, I think
Y-
either keeping the mic. I mean, either keep the mic. You could tell if you keep the mic in, you could tell it was a speech. They want to say,
mm.
congratulations. But yeah, what is the input? Yeah, it's I'm trying to see. I'm trying to
Yeah, it's
play
tough.
with it.
It's tough to say because it's like you said, it's not a portrait. It's already been captured. I think what I would just to elevate this a little bit more, it's kind of bothering me, but you see it. You see a lot of grain, a lot of noise, like in the blacks in the image, especially on this guy's on the dude's jacket. So I'd maybe just reduce some of that noise a little bit. That might help soften that image a little bit more. In a good way. I'm getting really technical though. I'm kind of nitpicking here, but that's what
So
I would
aggressive.
recommend.
So aggressive. Quite so
I
aggressive.
know, I know,
I
right?
like it. Yeah, I mean, zoom it in. What? There's the metadata. There we go. 2000 ISO f2 at 160. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely, it's a candid moment. That's only so much you can do, right? So,
Right.
yeah. No, great expression. You kept the capture. That means you were paying attention. You were waiting for that moment to happen. So good for you. Most people miss those shots anyway. Period.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah. All right, cool.
Well, cool.
Very
Yeah, I have nothing
nice.
else to add. So thank you. Thanks for submitting. Really appreciate it.
Very
Anonymous
nice.
photographer.
Anonymous. I like the.
You ready to
All right.
move on?
Let's do it. All
All
right.
right, here we go. This next photo comes from John Hawking, and John captured this with a 200-watt strobe, a mag sphere, and on a cheetah stand. Camera left. Okay, so John, I'm almost positive I apologize if I am if I'm wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure when we did the image critique with Ben Connolly, I think you made the same mistake that you made this time, and that is especially it's more and I could be wrong. When you're lighting a woman specifically, or really anyone, but when you're lighting a woman, you want to have them turn into the light, so you're lighting their short side of their face, right? So with the flash camera left, what's happening is you're getting dangerously close to lighting her broad side, right? And if if her face turns any more to her left, then you're really going to be lighting that broad side of her face. But now that I'm looking at the shadows, I think you said camera left, but now looking at the shadows, I think you meant to say camera right. Yeah, because you want basically like Ben just said, you want the body away from the light and your head back into the light. Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. So basically what I'm trying to recommend here, John, is you always want to have your subject's body away from the light and then have them turn their chin back into the light, because when you do that, it creates more flattering it creates a more flattering transition between your highlights and shadows, right? And looking at this, well, actually, it's hard to see because I'm sorry, I'm like kind of going all over the place here, but I'm seeing shadows coming from all different directions, right? So I'm seeing, like if you look at her left arm, right, there's a shadow right there that's suggesting that maybe the light is coming from camera right, but then when you look on the light on her face, you see there's a shadow on the left side of her nose, which is saying that hey, the light is coming from camera left, but either way, I am going to say this is my final answer is that this light, you were correct, and that the light is coming from camera left. So in this particular case, John, what you'll want to do is move that. You do one of two things, right? Have her turn her body the opposite direction, and have her turn her chin back into the light, or have her stay exactly how she is, and then bring that light from camera left and bring it over to camera right. So again, she's turning into that light. So that's something that's really important to remember. Other than that, it's the image is fine. It's she looks a little stiff. Have her bend her knee, right? Get a little more shape in her body, right? Really help. It's gonna be a little bit more flattering for her. Try to get her arms off of her body, because she feels very closed in, right? It's more flattering when you have that separation. What you have a lot to add to this, Will, I can tell. So why don't you chime in?
Yeah. So exactly what you said. I agree with what Sean said. And obviously it was shot like hard light. You could tell with all these shadows and stuff like that. Yeah. All right. Just rule of thumb. Exactly what Sean said. Let me just zoom this in. Let's make it so much easier when you're in person. So obviously I have this light coming from the center. Let me make this brighter. Let me see if I can make this brighter. If I want to look wider, how can I look wider? If I turn my body towards the light, it makes me look wider, right? Mm-hmm. If I turn my body away, see how it starts creating these shadows, which is great. And exactly what Sean said, you see how they have the shadow over here? So when I turn my nose towards that light source, look what happens. You get this beautiful light coming on my face. Oh, thank you. So exactly what Sean said, you want to turn your body away. So for example, like her dress, how her dress is, all right, how it's just swooped towards from the left to the right. Technically, the lighting should be coming from the other side, from the right side. All right. Mm-hmm. So, but turn her body away. So I look, exposure wise, it looks very good. It just, you need to create some kind of depth into it. So she's a little wider. All right. Like we all are. Like I've been eating a little too much for the last few months. So I personally, when someone poses me, I want to make sure I hide some of this. How can I hide some of this? You want to turn the body away, lean towards the camera. Look what happened. Look how much I just got rid of. From here to here.
Huge difference. Difference.
From here. Now, bring your left knee or your right knee, depending on the angle. Bring it in. Look what happened. Now I'm creating this V shape, and that's what you want. And also creating gaps. Look at my arms. The difference between this to this. This to this. So you always want to create gaps in the arms. All right, it's gonna help where the core is. Some people do this. Now you're adding more width to the whole body. Bring your hand in, bring it back more. Look at the difference between that to that. So these are like little tips that will help you so you don't have to do any post-production, and also you're enhancing the subject. So turn her body away from the main dominant light source, bring her nose back to the main light, lean towards the camera, because look, everyone has a double chin, right? Lean towards the camera, and from there you direct her. And also be very mindful, I'm zooming into the image as well, also catch light in the eye. So girls have these long freaking eyelashes, right? So be mindful of that. Depending on how high that light is, you're gonna cause shadow in the eyes. So be
Right.
mindful of that. So I think over that, look, again, who knows what was the scenario, but be mindful of stuff like that. And play with the crop. Composition, zoom in the lens, compress that. Because it looks like you're using a 24 to 70. Take out that 7200. If you're already at 70 millimeter, take out that 7200. Now you get to play a little bit more with the composition, the angles, and so on. So hopefully that
Absolutely.
give you a little insight in that. So I mean that's really it.
Yep. Just
So
yeah. Keep working on that posing. Keep working on that lighting, John. Everything else is pretty good. So just keep at it, dude. Thank you so much for submitting, and thank you
thanks, John.
for learning. And if you haven't picked up his book that he wrote recently, Exposed, make sure you guys do it. It's a thriller novel. It's get it on Amazon. So
Thanks, man. Congrats on that. That's freaking awesome.
yeah,
That was very
definitely.
cool. Yeah.
All right, we only got two more or three more tonight. It's kind of a shorter one, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and move on. This next photo, oh, there we go. This next photo looks like a boudoir image. This comes from Paul Sebastian, or Sebastian, depending on where you are in the world. And this is from a Halloween shoot, themed shoot with Nikki. Shot using the 24 to 70 f2.8 with a continuous light.
Sexy, elegant.
Thank you. I've been working out.
Yeah, you have. I love it. I feel like it kind of brings me back to a little bit of like the high fashion Playboy days a little bit during that era. I think it
Yes.
was, yeah, which I love. I mean, this would be cool if it was with HMIs or something like that. Very dramatic, contrasty highlights. It's cool. It's sexy. As a spouse, it'd be cool to have something like that of your partner, which I love. Something to put in the bedroom or in
Totally would do that. Yeah.
yeah, which is really really cool and sexy. For me, I personally love lingerie. I love the mysterious covering up the faces a little bit. Just something about it. I be a little personable. I think is a lot more sexy or elegant when there's clothes on, but showing a little bit, but showing a little bit of the skin and stuff like that. As to do complete news, that's not really my style or what I like. So I think beautiful executed, a little high fashion. As for making the shot better, be very mindful of the highlights. And also with hand placement. Again, hand placement plays a very big part. This is the thing. The best way to remember hand placement when you see stuff like this, or when you have someone pose like in this way, think about like a T-Rex, a dinosaur. So you never want to do this. All right. I know it's hard. Like you must ask, grab onto your bra. All right. No, but really play with your bra. So bend the wrist, bring it down, play with the hair, learn how to move your hands around. And the best way of doing that is practice in front of a mirror, whether you're a male or female. How you can make it really, really elegant. So I think that's what's kind of really bothering me in that way. Obviously, there's other elements into the shot which you could easily take out, and it kind of makes it a little bit mysterious. There's like a mask all the way in the back. Maybe that's the spouse. I don't know. Maybe he's like, let's play some peekaboo. Who knows? What's the story behind that? But my attention is going to all those elements in the back instead of more her. So try to retouch that out completely and just keep her. But I love the back. I love seeing the glutes, which is great. I think the back of what are women? What's the nice way of calling it? They say back fat or back element. Tone that down a little bit more. Use a little bit of liquefy. I mean, that's always a little
Right.
harder. We have that in some way or another. But I do like the neckline. I love seeing the shadows in the neckline. I think it's so sexy when you see that and the jawline. But yeah, I think that's really it. I mean, composition could be worked on a little better, but that's really it. Sean, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I'm not a boudoir photographer, but
Sean, you have an
visually,
echo. Oh, it's like a weird. Is it me or you have an echo?
I have an echo.
Yeah, guys, chime in. Do you hear? Oh no, is it just or is it me? It's probably me.
Um,
Hmm.
that is weird. Am I still echoey?
Uh, yeah. Huh.
Let's
All right.
let's let's see. I don't know. I wonder if I accidentally messed with the sound
I
setting.
see. I see Nikki. Nikki, what's up, girl? What's up, girl? She's so beautiful. How you been, girl?
Stand by.
Yeah. Stand by. Sing us a song. Who, Sean? Yeah, Sean, sing us a song, baby.
I don't. I definitely don't want to sing a song.
Sing a song.
How's my audio now, guys? We're doing okay.
It sounds like you're in a tunnel, maybe.
That is bizarre.
Bizarre.
That's really weird.
Yeah,
Stand by. I'm just playing with settings real quick. How about now? Is that better?
Oh, there you go. Look at you.
Okay.
It feels like you're whispering in my ear now. Sexy. I love it.
Yeah, for some reason, I had my MacBook Pro microphone also got turned on, so there was two microphones.
Nice.
So, okay. Well, anyway, now that we're back to real world and good audio, yeah. I mean, so really, the only thing I would honestly talk about is just those hands. Yeah, I agree with the T-Rexing. You know, it's generally speaking, whether it's a boudoir photo or a wedding portrait or senior portrait, whatever, you want to try to have the hands doing two different things, right? And in this case, they're doing the same exact thing. So maybe have her take her other hand and play with her hair a little bit, right? Or have her play with like the strap on her underwear, for example, or have her engage with a piece of the furniture. So she's just not, basically her hands aren't necessarily mirroring themselves. That's what I'd have to say on the pose. I preferably, honestly, I would like to see her left hand lower or off of her straps right there, just so we can see more of her bra and give more context to the outfit that she's wearing. So that's something that you could potentially do to change up that hand placement. And then as far as like the angle and the composition is concerned, I think I would almost like to bring it out. It's in that weird in between zone, right? Where it's almost like it could either go either way, where it's cropped out more, so I see more of the ears on the mask, or I see, you know, more of her booty, or we're cropped in a lot tighter, so we're bringing more attention to what's in focus, which is her eyelashes, and you're cutting out a lot of the fluff in the background. So really, kind of the common theme for tonight is just play with the crop, you know, bring it either out or in a little bit more, and see what that does, and see how it changes the impact of the image.
Yeah, I think also like another thing as well. You know, you're shooting at 24 millimeter. It's great. I mean, you have a 24-70. If you're pretty much you're maxing out the distortion on the lens. So, for example, if you already have, let's say, you're maxing out at 24 millimeter, put like a 15 or 35 millimeter, or put like a 14. Again, not sure what system you're using. You believe it or not, you actually will get less distortion using that other lens than you keep it on this lens. So I'm not sure if you purposely want it that way, but again, the shoulder, the back of the shoulder, it feels a little wider, bigger, and also because you're shooting at 2.8, it looks like you're focusing more on the hair part, not really on her eyes. You're not focusing maybe on. You know, I'm not exactly sure where you were trying to focus, maybe on her lips, but for me, what on my end, what I see is it looks like you're focusing on her hair.
That's what it looks like on my end as well. It looks like it kind of almost looks like the photographer was trying to focus on her eyes, but it missed focus a little bit, back focused, and hit her hair.
Yeah. So, and I know, like, again, I'm not sure what level, just because you have a 2.8 lens doesn't mean you should always shoot at 2.8. Again, it's personal taste, but if you want to get that background to be really out of focus, okay, fine. Zoom in the lens at 70 millimeter, back all the way up. You'll still get a similar look. It'll just be a little bit more compressed. But if you shoot like f4, everything will be a little bit more sharper. If you're going for that look. If you just want 2.8, fine. But play with the lenses. Take advantage of what the lens could do. Just because this is a 1.2 lens or 1.4 lens, doesn't matter what it is. You don't have to always shoot at that. Now the question, do I shoot like that all the time? No, there's certain things I'll probably shoot at 1.2, 1.8. Sometimes I'll shoot f22, but it depends on the look that I'm trying to go for. But for here, I'm a little bit lost. What are we supposed to be looking at? At her hair, or are we supposed to be looking at her eyelashes or her lips? So yeah, no, but it's a great shot. Yeah, definitely. If I was a spouse, I would love to get a shot like that of my partner. It's freaking awesome. Good stuff.
Definitely.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Paul. Really cool image. All right, moving on. We got two left. This is a really cool photo. This photo comes from Ellie B. Chico, and she said that This concept took a lot of patience and a lot of wax. I had to wait till the wax was not so hot to pour over the model,
Oh
then
my God.
reheat it so the wax would not cool too fast. Then we lit candles attached to her head and shoulder. She had about 5 to 6 minutes to shoot. The candles melted fast and the wax was hot. For lighting, she used a 24-inch mag box with a 400-watt strobe as her key light, and then a 100-watt strobe with a full CTO gel behind the backdrop to create warmth behind the subject. A third flash with a mag sphere behind the subject as well to the right for some fill. Okay.
Wow. That's a lot going on here, which I commend you on that. Beyond, there was a lot of pre-production done to this, which is awesome. I'm all about pre-production, storytelling, creating storyboards. Yeah, no, I congratulate you on this. I can imagine, the hurdles and the headaches that you had to do, and knowing like the whole process, the wax, how long is it going to take, to dry up, and how long do you have? So you took the time to really do this. So I commend you on it dramatically. That's good for you.
Wow.
Just,
Yeah.
yeah. If we want to dissect the crap out of this image, I'm like, it's unfortunate because again, we weren't there for this. But I think definitely the tone of the image. I think candles. When you think of candles, what do you think of? You think of more warmth. Maybe warm up the image a little bit more. Maybe put a color like a Roscoe, quarter CTO on there, or maybe a full. Just to bring more attention towards the candle in that way. Also composition, like the bottom of the dress, do you want it to have it further out more? I feel like the bottom of the dress, you really don't need it. I feel like it just takes away.
The bottom of the dress, it does take away a little bit from it. Like you could almost crop this in, right?
Yeah.
To like above like her thighs, because I mean, you do lose a little bit of the background if you do that, but it's not really adding any. In my opinion, everything from the waist down is not adding anything to the photo. Yeah. So she could almost like crop this just right there, and it would have just as much impact. And not only that, but there's something with her body language that isn't really translating super well with what's actually happening on top of her head, which is, those candles. And obviously, in a situation like this, you're having to hold like super still. So, but you can kind of tell that she's focusing on that, right? She's focusing on holding still, and that's where the image falls short a little bit. But I love the background, like this is, I've never even seen anything like this before. This concept like is a home run. It's so freaking cool, Ellie. This is probably the most. It's probably my favorite photo I've ever seen from you, honestly.
Yeah, it definitely. When you look at it, you're like, "Holy shit! What is going on over here?" Love it. Yeah. Like, it definitely has a lot of impact. I think definitely the composition, the crop. It's a beautiful shot, man. I mean, definitely. I'd like to know what is the reasoning behind it. What inspired you to do this shot? That's for me. That's what I look at these days. Like, what is the reasoning behind it? Why did you take the time to do this shot? Let's see, like something like this, like more of a crop, something like this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like that is cool.
Yeah,
like that crop is awesome.
Yeah, no, gorgeous. Yeah, I think also looking at your settings, you're shooting shutter speed, shutter speed 400 at 2.8 at ISO 100. You could easily shoot that lower. Don't be afraid to drag the shutter. I mean, if you want to have, and that's my question. I wish she was on. Like, what is the reason why be 2.8? Like, why? Drag the shutter, pick up more of the ambient light. Even if you dragging the shutter from 400, let's say you're bringing it down to, I don't know, 60th, 30th of a second. A lot of that ambient from the candles will start bleeding into the rest of the image, which would be really, really cool. I don't know. You have to play with it. So, but again, you were limited on time, as you mentioned. So, yeah. I mean, Sean, chime in. I mean, I think it's gorgeous. Good shit.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not else. There's not really not much more I could say. I think just the only thing that falls short for me is the pose. She just seems very stiff. So I would like I would encourage you, Ellie, like if you were to ever do something like this again, like I know you only have so much time to get this photo, like you said, 5 to 6 minutes. So, you have to have everything dialed in before you get the wax on her. You have to have the pose dialed in. You have to get the lighting. You have to get the, your composition. So by the time, you're ready to shoot this, you have everything, good to go. And, pose the model again, but, prior to having the wax, and say, hey, I want you to pose exactly like you would when we're taking the photo, and I want you to pretend like you have this melted candle wax on you. It just the hands and the arms just guarded in like that. It just feels a little off to me. But I mean, honestly, like it's such a cool concept. I kind of forget about a lot of those other small details.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just missing the mark with the pose.
Yep.
It's definitely, I love the idea behind it. Nicely done. I hope you were using a tripod. If you're using a tripod, again, I feel like, Shauna, do you use a tripod? I don't know. Everyone's different, but
I don't. The only time I use a tripod is when I'm doing my astrophotography photos.
Oh, okay, very cool. That's something I never got into. That's cool. Yeah, like for stuff like this, like if you already know that you're gonna be spending time and you have limited on time, get your composition first. Get your composition, plan it like a storyboard where you think you might put it on a tripod, do everything. And then when you're there, once you have this composition, the only thing you have to worry about is really the pose or whatever else element you want to add into it. And that's it. And then you have more shots you can get into. You can finesse the pose. Because we keep bringing it up is the pose. And like, you're right there. Like, yep. It's right there. It's like, yeah, congrats. Beautiful.
Absolutely. Good job, Ellie. Really, really. Thank you for sharing this. This is super cool.
Nice.
All right. We're going to go ahead and go on to our last image of the night. And this photo comes from Michael Miller. And this was a single Profoto light with a 35-inch softbox captured against a black background and the perfect model.
Fierce.
Yes.
It means business. She's gonna get you.
I would, yeah. So I don't know how I would classify this image, but I would, I'd almost classify it like as a boudoir photo, just based off of what the subject is wearing, and for me, the maybe you're seeing the same thing, but the skin tones. Well, I guess it depends because like on one monitor it's a little bit different. I'm curious what it's showing on your monitor, but for me, the skin tones seem a little cool.
Yeah, it's a little too cool. Yeah. Too cool.
Like just barely though.
Yeah, it's a little too cool. Just trying to see. It's a great shot. You could tell like she means business and something's going on, and I feel like she's the hair is cool. I guess. I feel like I wish there was a little bit more separation, a little more dynamic into it. I feel like a little bit too contrast.
Between her and the background, you mean?
Yeah, something. I feel like it's also under. I'm just zooming in. It's a little too blue. I see the beauty dish. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm playing with a little bit in there.
Yeah, I can see the catch lights. You can see the catch lights in her eyes. The light's pretty good.
Yeah. I'm trying to warm it up. I'm actually... Oh, that looks better right there. Long reply. Alright, I think this probably might have a little bit more impact. If this is for her, I'm sure she'll love it. Definitely something in her... There you go. Going back to composition. Maybe something like this, maybe. That might work.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I get the echo again from you. So the reason why did I crop it in that way? I feel like the hands are not doing too much over there because it's like you're already losing one arm, one hand, and then you have this hand coming out of nowhere. And then I feel like the light is too much on her shoulder, her left shoulder. So I feel like her shoulder's competing against her face with the highlight.
Okay.
Yeah, so Sean Chaiman. It felt like, this is it looks like it's also in camera. There's no retouching done, which
There looks like there's maybe a little bit of retouching
okay.
on her face, like just a little bit, like on her skin tones on her face. It looks like there was a little bit of retouching done, but then when you get down to her body, the skin tones don't really match
Yeah.
the skin tones on her face, which leads me to believe that it was retouched just on her, because I'm looking like, I'm looking like at her right arm, and you see some like inconsistencies, like a mark right here, a couple marks right here.
Yeah,
So
so
I think
if you're gonna retouch like the face, I might as well just do the whole body while you're there. I mean, there's
that's what
plenty
I'm
of
saying.
software out there that you can, do a couple of clicks and you're done. Unless you're gonna be
Yeah.
really anal and go off.
hmm
But
I mean, there's a
yeah,
lot to there's a lot to like about the image, though. I mean, she we see just the right amount. She's looking into her lights. The transition between those highlights and shadows are very flattering. The light is very soft as well, so you don't have that hard light under her chin. You're not seeing too much of the whites of her eyes. She's got a great expression. I mean, honestly, there's really not much I would say about this photo that I'm not liking. I mean, I like so much about it. It's just those tiny little details. Maybe the post productions on her skin, on her body, doesn't match her face. So really, I would just pay a little bit more attention to that, clean that up a little bit, and you have a really solid image.
yeah, agreed. Definitely. As a To have a partner image like that would be freaking awesome. You're badass. Yeah,
Definitely,
fierce.
definitely.
Yeah, I like that lingerie. It's good. I could see you wearing something like that, Sean. Be sexy, bro.
Yeah, you can see.
With your
Okay,
abs. With your
or
but I want to
maybe.
see more of your abs. So that's
Yeah. Okay. Maybe for Valentine's Day, I'll get you something like this. Okay.
but you gotta be biting your lip or something, all right? So it'll make it work.
Okay. Just for you. We can do a private photo shoot at WPPI this year. Okay.
I need to get my abs ready to go for that.
All
Those are
right.
gonna
Sounds good, my dude. Sounds good.
be-
Well, that's actually gonna bring us to the end. That's it. That's all 12. That's all we got tonight.
You got to echo again.
Why? Why do I have an echo? Oh, hold on.
I don't know why. I don't know why.
Okay, I fixed it again.
There you go.
So, yeah. So, but that brings us to the end. So, Will, dude, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your knowledge with us. It's always a pleasure getting to see your pretty face and hanging out with you. So,
Thanks. No, thanks. It's an honor being part of this. Thank you so much. And seriously, guys, thanks for being open minded. And again, as we know, we're in the industry is very subjective. So freaking keep doing what you guys are doing. Keep testing, keep playing, and keep enjoying the process. Most importantly. So yeah.
awesome, definitely, dude. Well, before we sign off, for those who didn't get the opportunity to see your intro, are there any places or any educational opportunities that you have coming up that my followers can and learn a little bit more about you, maybe see you speak or teach or anything like that? Any sort of education platforms that you have?
So I might just slow it down because I'm just we're so freaking busy in our other divisions. So probably the next time you probably see me speak is either at Imaging USA or if I do something for Canon or for Westcott. So you'd be usually those locations depending where is at. So if you're in New York City, I'm usually at B&H or Unique Photo at Arama. If for some of the conferences, usually Imaging and also WPPI. But this year I'll be definitely at Imaging USA, so you can catch me there. So I think I have a platform on Tuesday. I think 8:30 in the morning.
Okay.
Too early.
Yeah, that's early. That's early.
But yeah, just make sure to follow. If you want to see more of what we do on location, I'm sharing more stories these days on behind the scenes, anywhere from corporate commercial work, bodybuilding shows to event photography. And a lot of people ask me, can we see a little bit more of what you do on the back end? So it's real stuff, no BS, no YouTube. What's it called? It's real location stuff. It's not nothing's like
Sure.
pre. Yeah, thank you so much. I went a little special there, but
It's all
yeah,
good.
it's been a long freaking 2 weeks, so let's put it that way. But Sean, seriously, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it, and hopefully, I get to see you guys in person. So,
Yeah, no, fair enough. It was great having you aboard. For those of you who are still watching, I have randomly selected a winner through 1 through 12, and that winner is going to be Jessica Eastman. So thank you so much for submitting. Go ahead and send me a message. I'll go ahead and get you that canvas print from Pro Prints. I will be at Imaging for the second half, just to hang out. And Amber Henry and I are going to be doing a little mini workshop at the Geek Kodo studio, so we'll be doing that at the end of Imaging.
I love Amber. She's so beautiful. She's like awesome.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. And then of course I'll be at WPPI as always. I'll be there. It's going to be fortunately a quick trip for me this year. I'm only going to be there for 4 or 5 days, but I will be there and I will be speaking. And hopefully I'll be in the print competition. We'll see. I did get 4 images that placed this time around.
Good for you.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. But Will, always a pleasure. I really appreciate your time. And as always, to my fans, stay classy, stay sassy, and be dope nasty. See you soon.
Bye, guys.